Welcome to Sabotage, the psychology of racing. And fast drivers don't improve faster because they're naturally talented, and they don't improve faster because they spend more time driving. The real difference is much more frustrating than that, because most of the gap between average drivers and fast drivers comes from the way they think. And once you understand this, you start to realise why some drivers get stuck for years, while others improve constantly. You've probably experienced this before. You spend hours practicing on a track, trying to find the lap time, trying to get more comfortable, and then somebody joins the session and within 20 minutes they're already faster than you. Not just slightly faster, comfortably faster. And it feels impossible to understand why they adapted so quickly. But what most people miss is that fast drivers are not just driving differently, they're learning differently. Average drivers tend to finish a lap and think, that felt pretty good. Fast drivers finish a lap and immediately identify what went wrong. They notice the small things instantly, braking slightly too early, getting back on the throttle too cautiously, turning in with too much steering angle. And because they recognise mistakes earlier, they correct them earlier. This is one of the biggest reasons why fast drivers improve so quickly, because they don't spend 10 laps reinforcing a problem before they realise it exists, and most drivers don't understand how damaging that repetition actually is. Imagine two drivers making the exact same mistakes in one corner. One driver notices it immediately and adjusts the next lap. The other repeats it for the next 30 minutes. By the end of the session, one driver has improved. The other has trained that mistake into muscle memory. And this is where the gap between drivers really start to grow. Most drivers approach practice with one goal: to survive the lap consistently. Fast drivers approach practice differently. They experiment constantly. Different braking pressure, different entry speeds, and different lines. They're always searching for information, because fast drivers understand something most people don't. You cannot improve if you never leave your current understanding of the limit. And this is exactly why so many drivers plateau. They stop exploring. But the biggest difference between fast drivers and everyone else is probably not what you think, because it has nothing to do with aggression. In fact, it's almost the opposite. Most drivers hate looking slow. If a lap feels messy, uncomfortable, or inconsistent, they immediately back away from it. Fast drivers don't. They understand that improvement often looks worse before it looks better. Sometimes the faster line feels awkward. Sometimes the faster braking point feels unstable. And sometimes improving means temporarily making more mistakes. An average driver avoids that phase completely, because their priority is protecting confidence, not learning. This is probably the biggest one. Fast drivers don't just know that a lap was faster. They know why it was faster. They understand cause and effect. They know the extra minimum speed at corner entry allowed earlier throttle. They know a wider line improved exit angle, and they know exactly where the time came from. Most drivers never build this awareness. They just chase lap times emotionally. And that's why improvement feels random to them. If you want to improve faster, stop focusing only on driving more. Start focusing on understanding more. After every lap, ask yourself what changed. Why did it change? Did it actually improve the car? Because fast drivers are constantly building awareness. And that's what separates them. Not talent, not confidence. Awareness. The reason fast drivers improve faster is because they learn faster. They identify mistakes earlier. They experiment more. And they understand exactly why something works. Most drivers are just turning laps. Fast drivers are analysing them. And if you want to understand the biggest thing stopping most drivers from doing that properly, watch this next, because this is where most people completely sabotage their own improvement.